Okay, next on the agenda, we have some policies to review, which at this point in time, I would like to table those policies since we have so much to do, and if we have time to circle back to them later in the evening, we will. Does anybody have any issue with that?
No.
Okay, at this time, can I please have a motion to table policy 5740, reduction in force, policy 5740 PA1, reduction in force procedures, policy 5740 PA2, reduction in force procedures, and policy 5740 PA2F, reduction in force procedures table.
I'd like to make a motion at this time to table the following policies: policy 5740, reduction in force; policy 5740 PA1, reduction in force procedures; policy 5740 PA2, reduction in force procedures; and policy 5740 PA2F, reduction in force procedures table.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? At this time, those policies are tabled. We may or may not get back to them tonight. Thank you very much. Any teacher or student presentations?
No.
Okay, Jackie, director's report, please.
I will wait until all the kind of agenda items, because those are the only things that I need to talk about, so I just wait until we get to those.
Okay. Marie, do you have a principal's report for us?
Yeah, I submitted my report, and Brett Young did the report for Kendall, and I submitted that to you all. Did you receive that?
Yes.
Yep. Just.
Would you like me to review it, or you can just read it? It's pretty brief.
Why don't you just hit the highlights for us and any problems?
So here at the secondary campus, just a few, things to highlight. We have here at this campus about 80 new students, and all of our ambassadors wrote notes, handwritten notes to those students to welcome them. So that was something that I wanted to highlight that the students did. We also had some Google Meets with them, so that was one way of welcoming them. We have had some small groups on campus, such as our small music groups, our ensembles, and our special education students for short periods of time, and that's been a success. It's also allowed us to work through some of the procedures that we're testing out for when we have more students on campus. Teachers, one of the things that they all did is create websites with to-do lists for each of the classes and grade levels that they teach. And one of the changes we made after looking at all the parent and teacher survey results that we most recently sent out, we made some adjustments to increase engagement with our students. We're hoping we tested that out today for the first time, so we're hoping that will help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brett, do you want to?
I got a little wordier on the document than Marie did, but that's okay. We have a lot of great things going on at the primary campus. This is our third week with kindergarten. Everything's going pretty well so far. Most of the teaching is being done online, but each kindergarten teacher is bringing in a few students every day, up to 5, to work on different things, especially with the new technology since they're so new to it. And they're getting a lot of success out of that, and we're problem solving a lot of those issues that we're having. All of the grade levels in one way or another are bringing in different groups of kids to work on different sorts of activities, to do testing, all of those types of things. And I kind of want to do a shout out to 3rd grade because they kind of are taking the initiative, and they're bringing in groups of up to 8 kids at a time, and they're practicing kind of what we'll be doing in yellow. And so I just wanted to make sure that they're recognized for that because they're really helping us work out the kinks, and they're helping other grade levels work out those kinks as well. Everybody in the staff has done an amazing job of picking up the slack. Whenever something has happened, we've had a few staff members that have been sick, and they've very readily taken up that extra task to make things easier on me, especially as a new admin, and it's a steep learning curve, but we're making it work. For the most part, families seem really happy with all of our teachers. Our biggest issues that we've had, and these were to be expected, were learning Google Classroom and other different sorts of programs like that, especially with young kids who can't read and those types of kinks, but they're all getting worked out very well. Next week, we're really looking forward and figuring out procedures for when students do come into the buildings more often, and when we start with buses and things like that. And then we have the IRI, and the deadline is September 25th. We're pushing it out remotely this week. I did an instructional video, and Andy put together a slideshow for parents, and we're going to see how that goes. And Kinder is bringing in those groups of 5, and they're mostly getting those done this week. So that's everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I have 5 people signed up to talk or to speak. The first one I have is Lorraine Fisher. I don't know if she's here or she's online.
She's
I
online.
saw her on the Zoom link.
Okay,
Lorraine, can you hear us?
Yes. Maybe?
Yes.
Can't see me though.
No, do you want to be seen? I can.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Sure, you can put my video on.
It doesn't want to let me. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, I just sent you a message.
Okay. This works. There we go. Can you see me?
Hold on just a second. Yes.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, you're good to go.
Right. So hello, my name is Lorraine Fisher. I'm a single parent of 2 children. I have a 7-year-old daughter in 2nd grade at the primary campus and a 4-year-old in preschool. I have my children 100% of the time as their father lives in Utah, and so I work from home and I'm a full entrepreneur. And as you can imagine, virtual school is not been the easiest situation for me since I have to do everything all on my own. I provide for financially completely. In one day, I have to manage to work, help her with her school, get her Google Meet sometimes. My 4-year-old doesn't distract her from getting her work done, run errands, take care of the house, all the things you can imagine. Sorry about the kids in the background. Obviously, I have them all the time. If you can hear them, I apologize. My experience was that virtual school for the first week was very for everyone in our household. Even though it's had a little bit of practice, it's doing a lot better. But I probably venture to say that most families are still struggling with online school situations. I couldn't tell you that, I can only say my experience, but what I see is a lot of people really struggling and putting on a red face and making it seem like everything's okay. I'm lucky that my daughter does really well. She's pretty tech savvy, so she's actually doing pretty well getting all the work done. But most parents, I don't think, feel the same way as me, especially the single parents that are in the same situation that I am. And they don't have the option and the flexibility that a married couple would. I think virtual school has been okay. We could, we could manage it here. We could keep doing it. Are we doing okay? We are, for the most part, yes. Is it ideal? No. That's my experience. My daughter does well in school. She doesn't struggle. She gets her assignments done. But what I'm seeing more than anything right now is how emotionally draining it is for her, myself, and my son. Every weekday when we wake up and I tell her we have to get school going, she complains. She doesn't want to do it. It's like pulling teeth every single day. And she loves going to school in person. She wants to go to school in person desperately. And she does really well in school. So it's not a matter of struggling. It's a matter of she misses her friends. She misses the people, right? She misses the experience. She's like, Mom, I don't want to do online school anymore. She had no motivation to do it. And she just barely met her teacher in person for the first time a week ago. So emotionally, it's wearing on us tremendously. The first week of virtual school, she cried and told me she wanted to go to real school so bad. She was like, Mom, I don't want to do this. I want to go into real school. And I was like, you know what? This is what we have. This is what we have to deal with. But when it comes to it, I feel like she needs her friends. She needs to play. She needs that face-to-face interaction because what I see in Macon every day is a daughter that's not.
thank you. That's 3 minutes.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you, Lorraine. Heather Potter, is she here or is she on?
She's gonna be online too.
Okay.
Heather, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Do you want video or no?
Yeah, video's fine.
I'll send you the little thing.
All right.
Just a second.
All right. Thank you for allowing the opportunity for parents to speak at the board meeting. So I want to thank the board of directors as well as the executive team and members of the board. As I'm sure you are all aware, there are multiple schools within our county that have been open. Some as late as August 10th, actually. And one particular school, actually it's a trio of schools that are similar to ours. They're charter schools. They have been open since August 10th, and it's my understanding, because I do have personal friends that have children in attendance at these particular charter schools. And it's full-time in-person learning. And as far as I'm aware, there have not been any, if very few cases of the COVID-19 cases that have come about in these particular schools. Another large school district that's within our county also has been open now for a few weeks. I think the younger kids are doing in-person learning for the most part, maybe spending one day at home. And again, the schools have invested in, sanitary guidelines that have been working very well. I believe that our kids' education is essential. It's just as essential as going to the grocery store. If we need food, we go to the grocery store. If we want to go out to eat, we go out to eat. If parents, children, and teachers want to return to school, we need to allow them to do that. My third grader wants to be there. She cries almost on a weekly basis about how much she misses school and that she does not like this hybrid learning. It's not working well for her. My fifth grader is having a great experience. He's doing very well. And for the past few years, he's been struggling in school and for reasons that have been out of his control. But yet he actually wants to go to school this year. He's doing really well, but he still wants to be in school and be with his teachers and his friends. The face-to-face environment that the school provides is vital to our children's future. As parents, we're not able to provide the resources that teachers can provide to our kids and give them that path to success. And Lorraine, thank you so much for what you said. And I can only speak for myself, but I know that there are several parents who find themselves in very unsecure situations. I have both children at home. I also am able to work at home for the time being. And I'm lucky enough that I can make my own schedule for it right now, but I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm not enough. My kids need more than I can offer. As I spend my day working to take care of my family and my home and pay the bills, I also have a job to do. I need to make certain that my third grader is
That's
able
3 minutes.
to
Thank you, Heather.
log in to her Google Classroom and complete her work. She gets so distracted because of the noises, and it's just very exciting to see.
Heather, I'm sorry, that's 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Lauren?
I'm smiling, you just can't see it.
So are we.
As an instructional coach, I have the honor of working closely with some of the finest educators in the Treasure Valley. Our teachers have been working extremely hard delivering high-quality remote instruction to our students. This summer, I also had the privilege of working with the administration team as they navigated through the parameters of CDC recommendations, the feedback from families, and the development of a safe multi-level reopening plan for our school. We needed to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. As we move forward, we realize this is a work in progress. The quality of our program will depend on how well we can adapt as a school. These are very uncertain times, and yes, we're in this together. Remote learning has presented both successes and challenges. With only 2 weeks to prepare and learn new tech, our educators were committed to the success of the program. It was heartwarming to see our students, and this happy reunion brought about a further commitment to work out the kinks. Our commitment is threefold. First, we want to make sure that students can navigate the technology and engage with rigorous content while also keeping their spirits uplifted. Second, we want to support parents and families while they find ways to fit it in their schedules, both in a technical and emotional capacity. And third, we want to work closely with and support our educational staff as they adapt to the reimagined educational structures and change. With all this being said, I support the decision to open with the proposed hybrid AV schedule. We are working very closely with Southwest District Health to create a safe plan. They've noted that schools following a hybrid plan are doing very well. A few cases have cropped up in schools, which is not a surprise, but there has been very little community spread with all of the mitigating measures in place. Valley View School District has been open in a hybrid model since August 25th, and they only have 6 confirmed cases, which is less than 1/10 of 1% of the population and 0 community transmission within the school. And finally, I think we need to know that Canyon County is being closely assessed weekly by the Southwest District Health. So our school remaining open in a hybrid model hinges on our risk level remaining in the orange or yellow category. And I say, let's keep it there. How can we do that? I read an article that really resonated with me by a pediatrician. He said that the pandemic is often viewed through a very black and white lens. There are those who follow lots of proposed safety measures and those who follow very little of them. But the author suggests that as we open up, we can make small adjustments in our lives that will help balance the risks. It's not an all or none scenario. For example, if we open up our schools for face-to-face learning, we might want to place some limitations on other social gatherings outside of school. Right now, the 14-day moving average is going down, and our positivity testing rates have also declined, which is proof that the safety measures are working. Social distancing, masking, washing hands, and promoting outdoor activities while limiting unnecessary gatherings has proven to be making an impact. When the positivity rates decline outside of school, we are making it safer inside of school. Our behavior outside of school directly affects what happens from here on out regarding school, so let's work together to be together. Finally, just like to thank all the families and staff for your continued support as we navigate through one of the most difficult times of the century. Truly an honor to be part of the team.
Thank you, Lauren. Jenny Houston? Hello, can you guys hear me okay? Yes. So I am a founder. I've been here since the doors have been open. I have 5 children. All 5 of my children have attended this school at one time or another. Currently, I just have one son left at home. He's a junior. I have 2 IECS graduates. I love this school. That's why I'm here. I'm not going to reiterate what one of the speakers previously said about some of the charter schools that are already open, but I will tell you I am teaching in person. I've been teaching in person for a month, and I've had 0 cases. My students are masked. I am. My students are not. And I teach pre-kindergarten, and if anybody's going to get COVID, it's going to be in that setting because they put everything in their mouth. But if you teach them the correct protocol and the correct guidelines, you can teach in person safely. I'm doing it. I think it's very important that we teach in person. Our kids crave it. On the days that I do not teach, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have a learning pod in my home. There are 10 children that come to this learning pod. I have kids as young as 7 and as old as 17. I'm very disheartened by what I see, and this is not a derogatory comment towards the teachers. I know they're doing the best that they can. These students are struggling. They're crying, they're upset, they're craving tangible learning experiences. We signed up for Idaho Arts Charter School because we want our children to have those tangible arts experiences. We don't want to watch a choir concert online. We want to participate in it. They want to have those experiences. Our families want to have those experiences. That's why we're here. That's what makes our schools so incredible and great, because they get those experiences that typical schools don't provide. Typical schools don't have global beats. Typical schools don't have rock band. Typical schools don't have an electric orchestra. Those things cannot be done online. They have to be done in person. And last but not least, this is a Title I school. A lot of the families in this school qualify for free or reduced lunch. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of they have to go to work. They have to. So there are children online navigating their schoolwork on their own. I can barely do it. I feel confused, and I'm an educator, and I'm confused. I can only imagine how these children that are home by themselves trying to navigate
these studies on their own, and it is happening. I know plenty of people that are doing it, which is why I have the Learning Pod in my house. We need to open up in person. I know that with our staff and our students and our administration, we're a great school. It's like a family here. Everybody will be willing to do their part so that we can open in person, which we absolutely have to do.
Thank you, Jenny. Michael Harris?
Before I get started, I just want to thank the school board. I also want to thank Marie and Jackie. I feel like the pandemic has made my job as a teacher difficult, but it's made your job impossible. You can't please everybody, and that's a really hard thing to do. The best financial advice I've received was to always keep at least 3 months of rent in my savings account. This has saved me quite a few hassles when it comes to paying bills at the end of the month, but the real moral of the story here is that being frugal today allows me to be safe in the future. I ask you for a moment to imagine what is the worst possible scenario for the school year. I would imagine that your daydreams look a lot like kids staring at screens at home, teachers wrestling with webcams over Google Meets, and arts venues sitting empty. I think we can all agree that that worst case scenario looks a lot like the situation we're living right now. Imagine a scenario where we open our doors. COVID-19 will spread amongst our school community. And what do we do then? Do we send the kids back home? Do we send the kids home who are learning their sight words for the first time? Do we let the choir room fall silent again? Or do we plan to be safe in the future by being frugal today? We're saving right now. We're not saving money, but we are saving social capital amongst our school community by being clear and consistent with schedules. We are saving by preventing mental health issues by keeping kids out of classrooms filled with masks, plexiglass barriers, and rules against hugging your teacher. We are saving by preventing more community spread. We can invest in the future by using remote technology to teach media literacy, digital responsibility, and 21st century workplace skills. We can invest in our future by using remote learning to open digital avenues of self-expression. We can invest in the future by keeping people safe. Remote learning is imperfect, but it is the best way to invest in the future. Please be frugal and cautious during these uncertain times. If we're frugal today, in the future we can expand the relationships we are building in the digital classroom, we can bring the concert halls back to life, and we can once again gather together as one united school.
Thank you. Okay, Jan emailed me and said that she wanted to be taken off the list, so that concludes our patron input at this time. Thank you to all of our speakers. We really do appreciate it, and we do hear what you have to say. Again, thank you. Jackie, at this time, I have on the agenda to review the consolidated plan. Do you want to skip around?
No, I thought you had, the next thing was a notice for request for bids. I
very well could have, because that could be, let's do that one.
thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Yes,
Okay.
switch gears.
Okay, so you should have received in your packet, the notice, that is going to go in the paper and, for a request for bid for building the additional building at the primary campus for 5th grade. Did you all receive that?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, we talked about that we would put this out for bid, that we would put this notice in the paper. Then I will hold some informational meetings with anybody that wants. So the first was the legal notice that'll go in the paper. The second is the request for qualifications packet. And then we have a preliminary design for the that building, already, so that can be, we can kind of get some accurate bids if anybody wants to bid. Keep in mind, going through this process, doesn't commit us if if for some odd reason after we went through this and got the bids and we decided not to build that building, would be fine. Also, I have 2 banks lined up we have part of the funding in place, and then I have a couple banks that are ready and willing to give us some options on funding. I've also been in contact with, some of you have been on the board when we've gone through the bonding process, and so I have been in contact with Jim Blanford about our bonds, and there's some really good things happening with finance rates and with maybe grouping this project with some bonds that we can expire and kind of wrap into another loan and for 35 years and all that kind of stuff. And so he's put that stuff together for us. And so we'll have financing in a variety of forms that we can look at, in probably a couple months when we need to get there. My projection on this would be that we would begin this building maybe January, February time. It's not going to take probably more than 4 or 5 months, 6 months to complete. It's about 1,300 square feet, or 13,000 square feet, excuse me. And it's just a tiny thing. And so, anyway, just wanted to put that before you so that if there's any questions about this legal notice or.
I don't have any. Do anybody else?
Okay. Can I just, I think probably I should have a motion that, to approve, to put the legal notice into the paper and begin the process.
At this time, can I please have a motion to approve the notice for request for bids?
Make a motion at this time to approve the notice for request for bids.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it is approved.
Okay.
Now,
You can review the consolidated plan, and Marie's gonna do that. She's the one.
Oh my gosh.
So now I'll hold this one. If you could, all pull up that consolidated plan, I think you probably reviewed it already.
Just a note, we have to submit our literacy plan, college and career readiness plan, and our continuous improvement plan every year to the state by October 1st. And they allow us to do a combined plan, so we don't have to do 3 separate documents. So that's what this is. So you'll notice in there, there's verbiage on our literacy activities at the school, our college and career readiness data and activities, as well as metrics that actually are from 2019 because we did not do statewide testing in 2020 in the spring. So the state is allowing us to carry those over and just go based on our 2019 data. And so that's what I did with this draft. I just put all that data in and set our metrics pretty much how they were before. The only thing in the college and career data, that data is current because those are reporting on our 2020, 2019, and 2018 seniors, how many are in college, enrolled in college, and how many went to college their second year and are enrolled. So we have to report that as well. I know it's a very long document. Do you have any questions?
any questions for anyone else?
No.
I didn't have anything.
Thank
Okay, at this time, can I please have a motion to approve the consolidated plan?
Make a motion at this time to approve the consolidated plan as submitted.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consolidated plan is approved. Okay, Jackie, the moment I think everybody's been waiting for.
I think so. Well, we, obviously, like Lauren mentioned, we worked all summer to put together a reopening plan. We looked at a variety of schools, and part of our reopening plan would be that when we got into this, and it's debatable, like the yellow, orange, whatever range, that we would open in some form. And so we feel very strongly that we're ready to open the school. We've sent out to the parents the AB schedule, and so that has part of our students here on an A day, and then part of our students here on the B day. When they're not in class at school, they would be on class online. Fridays would be a remote day for everyone, partially for teachers to work in small groups with students, and then also to do some planning for the next week. We feel very secure about opening up. We have good procedures and protocols in place. We have everything from cleaning procedures to social distancing in classrooms. We've worked through those things with masks, we've got signage up. I mean, obviously the first couple of days are gonna be crazy. They always are, with busing and so forth, but we really feel like we're ready to do that. And I had all my notes on my phone, and now my phone's running Facebook Live. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else I needed to say. I know that there's concerns, from some folks about opening, and I feel like we have addressed those concerns as best as we can. I know that there's also people on the other side of the fence or the other side that really want to see, kids in person. And so I think that the good thing about this is that if there are families that are concerned about coming back to school, there's the remote option. And so they can still be part of our school until they feel safe and secure to come back. For those folks that are ready to, navigate those waters and have their kids come back, we're going to, try to do that. We ran, like I said, I've mentioned, I think before to you, we ran summer camps this summer, had no issue. The dance team has been, practicing, we've had no issue. These last 3-4 weeks of school that we've been open remotely, we've brought in numerous small groups, everything from small groups in 3rd grade to do some reading to, electric orchestra to come in to rehearse. We've had students come in to work, like Jenny Houston's son has come in to work with a teacher here, one-on-one to help him navigate through some things. And so we've had kids in our building, so we've already been able to easily kind of practice some of those protocols as to how to get people into the rooms and so forth. I don't think, and also, probably the one thing, and from everything I've read, and I've told this story several times to some of my staff folks, that my daughter-in-law she flew to Texas and she worked in a COVID hospital for the past 6 weeks. And so one night I was talking to her about, what's the one, how have you not gotten this? She's surrounded in it. And she's in where they have 10,000 cases a day. And I go, how have you not gotten this? And she said, I don't know that the hospital has all the best, safety procedures in place. She goes, but the one thing that she knows that has kept her safe and from not getting it is wearing a mask. She wears a mask all the time. And so that's the one thing that I think is going to keep, our staff and our students safe. And I haven't seen anybody that's come into our buildings, that hasn't been willing to wear a mask. And so that's, if students want to come on campus, that's the one thing that we're going to ask them to do. And, besides, we've got like other cleaning procedures in place, but I think that that's going to keep our kids safe. Are we going to have a case or two? We might. I think that's inevitable. Can you trace it back to that it was because they were in school? I don't think so. I think that there's lots of places that you can get COVID, and it's very difficult to figure out where and when and who exactly. But I think that the time is now. CUNA, Valley View, West Ada, Boise, numerous charter schools have opened and are opening. We cannot not open. So I would ask for, we have the plan in place. I don't know that, we need it to be a movement by the board or whatever, but I would ask for you to approve, the hybrid schedule that we are going to at this time.
Does anybody have any questions regarding the schedule?
I do. So Jackie, do you feel that the AB schedule is the best option for the school instead of just full reopening?
I think what I told staff, and I think in order for us to test the waters, it was kind of like this summer. We ran the summer camps and we did some small things. We've had dance team rehearsing. We've been bringing in some small groups. And so, it's like baby steps. You try the AB, and I think we try this for a few weeks. And if it's working well, we're going to put Fridays in place. And we're going to have kids at school on Fridays too. If those things work pretty well, and we see that everybody feels secure, the cases continue to go down in Canyon County, then I think we work at trying to get back to, a full schedule. But I can't predict the future. But I do think that you need to take those steps, and then you can reevaluate and see, well, maybe we need to step back. We will have some students this next week, the first week that we open. We're going to try to stick pretty clearly to that, AB schedule and have kids here, but after that, the following week, some students that we have have identified as maybe they have some special ed issues or some IEP issues, or they're on a 504, or they, have some other reasons as to why we might bring them in all 4 days. Some of our music groups, I've already talked to my music instructors, and I know the Global Beats and the orchestra, Elro, we may have those kids come in every day, so to try to get them back up to speed on their performance. Because some of these kids, it's, obviously their senior year, and they haven't had the rehearsal time and stuff with their instructors. So, but again, baby steps. We start out with, kind of this modified schedule, and then, in the following weeks, see how things go and see if we can ramp that up.
I have a question, I guess, or kind of just a thought. Maybe you can help me shape it a little bit. So I understand there are kids with special needs on the IEPs and 504s, like you mentioned before, and there's also parents that we've heard from that do not want their kids to come to school at all. Are you using that first week to kind of gauge that right number of students who can come in each day, and then allow for then special cases, and then maybe perhaps after that, parents who are in a situation where maybe all 4 days would be best for their families? Is that sort of the plan?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, we have taken it, and one thing, I know one parent said, there's these 3 other charter schools that are open and have been open since August 10th. Those charter schools have only 300 kids in their school. They're just smaller. We have 1,300 kids. And so when you take 1,300 kids and you try to figure out the scheduling, it's been a little bit of a statistical nightmare, because we've had to figure out which parents, and we send out numerous emails and Google Forms to fill out, which you well know, and then we don't get responses, and then we have to call, and we're trying to figure out exactly what percentage want to stay home, remote, what percentage, and then splitting up the A through L, and then the M through whatever, the XZ, whatever. Yeah, and so, yeah. And then trying to balance those. Then we went and we looked at all the classes. So you look at like an English 10 class and so forth, and you try to make sure that that's balanced. And then if you brought in extra kids, where would that go, and which extra kids and what grade levels? Because maybe there's more 10th graders that need additional help or whatever. So we're looking at those things, trying to figure out, all of those numbers and those classes and how that goes. But we think we have it pretty figured out.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll start out, like I said, start out a little bit slow, divide the alphabet up, or try to, evenly place students in classes. And then as we, get through that, see, can we add more students? Are there some kids that are, because I know and you know that there's kids that are left home alone that shouldn't be left home alone. That they're 7 years old and their parents have to go to work. And not that we're a babysitting service, but we do provide a lot of things for families. Everything from nutrition to emotional care to academics. And so, and we can identify and talk to some of those parents and see, who needs what exactly. I've had a lot of parents say to me, send me in their form and say, we'd like to, Johnny would like to come back to school, but I can keep him at home. If you need me to keep him at home, let me know. And I email them back and say, thank you very much, and we put their name on a list so that we know which families can stay home. And so, and which families, and then, we can bring those kids back in too, eventually. But if we have too many kids at school that we feel uncomfortable with that, then we can say, hey, the Smiths and the Youngs and whatever, can you keep your children home for us? That would help us out.
Are we going out and I would like to see the families be made aware of that, because I think there are a lot of families that would be happy to help out in that way if it was, if it did help. So. Anyway.
I feel like we've been fairly clear about that, but perhaps, we could be more clear, but,
Hey, Jack, I just had one question on this. What's going to be the protocol for parents who've already made modifications to their schedule, but due to the lettering of the last name,
we
worked,
they emailed me and we just put them on the alternate schedule. Yeah, because it goes both ways. You might be on Mondays and Wednesdays and you want Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then, so we can just flip it. Because there's other people that are on those days that want the other days, so, and it's worked out. We're pretty even.
Okay.
I have a question. So what happens if you open up and then we shoot back up to red again? Can you just pull back?
I think if there's community spread, which there's a chance of that with Labor Day and so forth, but I think that, I just feel like over Labor Day, more families kind of went camping and it wasn't like these big parties here, and people gathering. But if it went back to red in the community, I think we would have to relook at that as a school. Do we feel safe on continuing to stay open, especially in our small groups? It's been red these past few weeks, and we've had small groups in, and we've felt safe. I haven't had any teachers complain. Obviously, we ran tons of small groups at the primary, everything from a small reading group to a small dance group to a small art group. We had families going back and forth. Our orchestra teacher here at the high school, he's had almost all of his students in. He's had lots of small groups in. He's had, the electrical orchestra group in. He's been working with a ton of kids and it's worked well. Now, again, that's 60, 70 kids versus, 300, 400 kids that will be, coming. So it's a little bit different scenario. But I think that we need to look at our school, and if the community went red again, I don't know that means that our school, I don't know personally right now that means our school needs to close. So I guess, technically, if you want to be technical about it, our plan says if we're in red that we would be on complete remote learning. I think that we need to see how things look, how things go. And some people have said, this jumping back and forth, you open, then what if it goes red and you got to close again, and you have several cases and you need to close. We feel like as an administrative team that if we can get 3 weeks of kids in school, that's 3 more weeks than we had. And so if for some odd reason we have to close again, at least we had those 3 weeks. And I think that you can kind of understand that yourselves. It's like, you got to have that Christmas vacation at least, and then you had to go back to work. So we feel like it's important. It's important to those kids. And like I said, also, every surrounding school district around us and numerous charter schools are open. I know, the schools in East Idaho are open. My grandkids have been in school every day. And they haven't had any cases.
Hey, Jackie, I got a question. We vote on this tonight and we approve it. A while back, you stated that some of your staff members were concerned about reopening and did not want to stay possibly if we did bring back in kids. Are they still in the same mindset right now? Are we looking at staff attrition for us reopening possibly?
I haven't, no, we've been pretty, I feel like I've been pretty clear that we're gonna go to this AB schedule. I mean, nobody said that they're quitting, but,
I just know that was brought
there's,
up.
yeah, there's definite, I mean, there's obviously definite, a couple of people, there's concern. And again, I think you have to go with the 85% that are not concerned versus the 15% that are. And if that's the case, if someone wanted to not return because of that or take a leave of absence, we could fill those positions. I'm not concerned that would be a reason for us not to open.
Right, now I just wanted, because it was brought up before, and I wanted to ask if anything's really changed on that.
So 2 months ago, I believe it was, the board approved a mandatory mask policy. We have heard from several parents regarding that, both for and against. I am assuming that is going to be enforced.
Yeah, the mask policy, or the mask policy is in that plan. And it's part of it.
I saw that,
Yeah,
I just,
Mhm.
Winco did a mandatory mask too, and they don't enforce it, and so I just wanted to make sure our school was going to do that, even from the families that we've heard from that aren't happy about it. So, okay.
Yeah, and there'll be, on the other point of that though, there'll be ample time for kids to not wear masks. As long as they can do some social distancing, they're outside at recess, they're eating lunch. There's some times that kids are, but I don't think the pushback is from kids. I think it's from adults.
Right.
And I see kids all the time. I know from my own grandkids, my 5-year-old grandson says, "Give me my mask," and he puts it on. So, I think kids will do what you ask them to do. It's the adults that.
Any other questions?
I just got one more. Sorry. None of us are fortune tellers in here, and I completely get it. I can foresee the future, and we briefly touched about this in the presentation. Everything goes great. Kids come in, things work out. How long do we want to go before we fully open and get all the kids back in? Between, the time that we're going to open up for the AB schedule to complete opening up and letting all kids come in the whole.
I would say at least a month. That's my best estimate at this time. I think that we really need to give this a good month, and part of that is getting down our cleaning procedures, getting down our, we've changed the bell procedures so that we don't have middle school and high school in the halls at the same time. So with the passing, all of those kinds of things. But truly, it's very difficult for our teachers to be doing the hybrid model and the remote and students in class. It's stressful to them because even as experienced educators, they haven't had to do this before. And so now it's like refiguring that out. So, I think that it's going to be much easier for them, but it's a scary situation to have 25 or 30 kids in your classroom. And so it's much easier to have 12 kids in your classroom. So,
with that said, would it be possible if we do vote on this, we do pass along that at a minimum, we can at least notify parents via the messages that we do send out, weekly updates, just how things are going. That way they can plan ahead. That way that they know, hey, we're going to open back up 3 weeks, or everything's looking smooth, or we're not too sure. That way, because parents are going to be planning their lives around this. And if we can give them as much updated information as we possibly can, I think it'd make it a lot easier for everybody as well.
And I believe that we'll have another board meeting within 3 weeks of the time that we open on the 21st. So
October 12th is the next one.
So by October 12th, we can reevaluate, do we want to add Fridays into the mix? Do we want to, what's our next step? And I think that would be a date, and we can tell parents that, that October 12th, we'll be presenting our next plan or our next steps.
Any other questions, William?
No.
Michael? Heather? No. Joel?
No, ma'am.
Jen? Okay, at this time, can I please have a motion to approve the school reopening plan, the AV schedule as submitted?
This time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the AV schedule plan for reopening the school as submitted.
Can I have a second, please?
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, plan is approved. Okay. Do you guys want to circle back around to policies, or do you want to just table them for next meeting? Pardon? I still didn't hear.
Contracts.
We don't have any. I just left it on there in case any pulled up, it has to be an action item.
You know what? Let's knock out two, or whatever.
Let's knock them out. Okay.
Knock them out.
We're gonna circle back around to policies, and we already approved policy 5740, reduction in force. The 5740 PA1 and PA2, Brenna, am I correct? And we just have to pick one of those, correct? Yes, that's what I think too. So administrators, have you had a chance to look at those? Do you have any input on those or any preference on one or two? Hello?
You have to remember that.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
I think the one that we had previously approved was the Evergreen Mackey, and the new one is the ISBA, and I think we should go with the verbiage on the ISBA just because I think it's more updated. And I did check on the code and the lines of Idaho code as well. That's what's referred to in reduction in force.
The reduction in force, the actual policy we already approved,
Right, and
but
then there's an ISBA one that is the same, it's just it's different words, different verbiage. So I don't know if you had a chance to compare the two. So one's an old policy, and as we replace those with ISBA policies, I believe, is that what was sent to you?
no, we received the ISBA policies, but the reduction in force procedures, there was an A1 and an A2, and it's my understanding we have to pick one or the other.
I see, I'm sorry. I
That's okay.
misunderstood.
And so I was just wondering if administrators had any input on whether they would like number one or number two. And there's also a reduction in force procedures table that is my understanding is completely optional if we wanted to implement that, if you wanted to use that or not.
I think that one goes with the, option two.
That's, yeah.
The table does?
Point system.
The table goes
Yeah,
with
the table was
option
a
two.
point system.
I'm looking at it right now.
Jackie, do you have a preference on those? I think it would be nice if we could talk about it a little bit as administrators on those two. Unless you have a preference as board members since you're adopting policy.
Not this quick.
If you would like to take a look at it first to have some input, that is fine. So I guess we're gonna go back to tabling.
There we go.
So, at this time, can I have a motion, please, to table? We gotta go through them all again. Policy number 5740, reduction in force. Policy 5740 PA1, reduction in force procedures. Policy 5740 PA2, reduction in force procedures. And policy 5740 PA2F, reduction in force procedures table.
I'd like to make a motion, the policy, or table the following policies again. Policy 5740, reduction in force. Policy 5740 PA1, reduction in force procedures. Policy 5740 PA2, reduction in force procedures. And policy 5740 PA2F, reduction in force procedures table.
Can I have a second, please?
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those policies are tabled. Administrators, if you'll please take a look at those for next time. I'd really like to get these off the books. Thank you. Jackie or other administrators, I assume we have no reason to go into executive session? All right, at this time then, board members, do you have any input for future agenda items?
No.
All right, our next meeting will be October 12th. If there is nothing else, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Okay, at this time, can I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This time I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I have a second, please?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Brenda, the meeting is adjourned at 7:50. Thank you, everyone. That's why I thought.
Yeah, totally.
I was really surprised too.